BooBaes. BooBaes. Hi,
Hello.
and welcome
Do
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your hosts.
I'm Joshua.
And I am Caitlin.
Woo.
Woo.
Welcome.
And speaking of Final Destination 3, I looked it up.
Tell me.
The truck.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a Heist Pale Ale. Heist Pale Ale is a brand of beer that was seen in the series. It appears in Final Destination when Carter is drinking it at the end of the movie.
Gotcha.
So it's in the first
one.
one. And then it appears again in Final Destination 2 when Kimberly sees a driver riding the Heist Pale Ale beer truck and reads "Drink responsibly." The beer truck appeared again in the third when it drives past the drive-through, which traps Wendy and Kevin in his truck. So it was the same beer truck.
Continuation.
And it was even in the first one. I didn't
catch that.
I didn't do that.
Well, because he was just drinking the beer.
Yeah.
It wasn't, yeah. It's like a really subtle like Easter egg. But now we know.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Cool. That's really cool.
Because they had a bunch of different, like there's so many things that are in like all of the films.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Death Presence, the Mortician, and stuff like that. But in the fourth one, like McKinley Speedway is where the crash takes place. Yeah. Stuff like that.
All the callbacks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in multiple different things. So
that's awesome.
I thought that was cool. You should
watch the fourth one if you haven't yet.
I should. But yeah,
free on Tubi.
I just had to. I was like, oh, we talked about it, and whenever I listen back to things, we always say like, oh, we'll look it up.
And then we never
looked it up. But this one, I was like, you know what? I need to know. This is gonna drive me nuts if I don't. Why did I close my phone? Like, we're not about to talk about signs.
Signs. Give me a sign. All about the signs.
That's right.
Coincidences. Do they really happen? 2002, yeah, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
That's right.
Stars
one of his very best films.
Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix. We have a very small Abigail Breslin and
tiny
Rory McCulkin. So it's a pretty heavy duty cast. Yeah.
All of these people are big hitters.
Yeah, for sure. And the movies that like Abigail did afterwards and her TV, and then Rory, I've seen him definitely in a few more things. So that's pretty cool. Oh wow!
The little series.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It came out like in like 2017 or something like that. Yeah.
I watched it.
It's about the Branch Davidians, David Koresh, all that hoopla. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in it, and he did a good job in there.
Did he play the David Koresh?
No, I could see how you would think that.
Yeah.
But no, someone else did.
Gotcha.
I don't remember the names. I only watched it the one time, and then I felt.
I remember because it was like a limited series, right? It just came out on like one night.
Yeah.
For like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it basically, I felt like it really sympathized with Koresh.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit, like a little too biased towards that side, and. I was like, no, Crash.
He was cuckoo. Yeah, cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs.
Good person.
No.
He manipulated these people.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that.
Yeah.
They kind of like played into it, but I feel like they really leaned into both sides messed up. And
yeah, that was just a whole big mess.
Lost.
And from both sides and from the handling of the situation, but also, I mean, regardless of how it unfolded, at some point, these people would have drank the Kool-Aid eventually.
Yeah,
and
they were
maybe it would have had an even bigger following. I don't know if this event maybe never would have happened. You know what I mean?
True.
So I don't know. It's weird though, and it's really bad that people had to lose their lives. But yeah. I've been out there. Have you been out there?
Yeah.
We
talked about this on one of the
that's right. Yeah, how my dad used to love just taking new people to town. Let's go out there. Come on, I know the road.
It's a party trick.
Yeah, literally.
It's like a mile down the road from BSR, which is no longer called BSR.
Oh, it's not?
I think it's not. I
Okay.
think it's called like Waco
Water
or something.
I think I maybe know that, but don't recall.
Not nearly as,
yeah.
like I can't remember it. BSR, easy.
Sticks in your head.
Yeah, I have no clue what that stood for.
Something Cable Park. Wait.
There's no CRP in there. BSR Cable Park.
I don't even know. Oh man, let's get into the movie. Let's talk about signs.
Let's talk about things that we know about.
Let's talk about eerie music starting off over the credits and really setting up a movie, because we get a sound that I only, can associate with the movie Signs, and like it's like I haven't seen the movie in a while, but as soon as I heard it open with that, I was like, how could I forget about this iconic, like, da-da-da, 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 da-da-da? Because even that music, when I was watching it when I was young for the first time, was like scary to me. Like,
yeah, it did a really good job.
It produces, it like making my
anxiety.
Heart go faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very like thrilling.
Yeah.
I mean, and it does, I think, what it's meant to do. James Newton Howard is who wrote all of the music, and he is a major composer. I'm
just kidding. R.I.P. if he is. I'm sorry. That was not a fun joke. I'm sorry.
He's 71 years old.
Ooh.
So
that's awesome.
Still here.
He's a year younger than my dad.
Look at that.
There you go.
But he wrote all the music for all of the Hunger Games films, Unbreakable.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Peter Pan, the live action.
Unbreakable, M. Night's other film, Unbreakable? Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
Dinosaur, you remember this one?
I love that movie. I loved that one too.
I remember I had a hand puppet from like McDonald's or Burger King. They like came out.
Yeah.
And it was like that really good chewy material.
I recently rewatched it actually, and it's funny how now I look at it, I'm like, okay, it took Robert pointing out to me, he was like, why do they have lips? And why are they like?
I love it.
They like their dinosaur faces are really humanized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, yeah, 10 out of 10. I love that movie.
He also did Treasure Planet, which has one of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time.
I've never seen Treasure Planet, but I know what that is.
Oh my God, that's also one of my favorite movies.
Really,
I love Treasure Planet.
I'll watch it just for you.
And then the soundtrack that's what I would study to in college. Was that, and then like Howard Shore, so like all the Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Got it. I love those movies.
He also did Atlantis, which is another fave.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, some big ones like Fantastic Beasts, Where to Find Them. Like I
like those movies.
Yeah, heavy, and he did like Lady in the Water and stuff. So he's done a lot of.
Man, this guy gets a check.
Yeah,
collecting the coin.
He really has. He's done quite a bit of films, and
that's awesome.
It speaks to why the soundtrack was so, I think,
so good. Yeah. I mean, because the movie really does play into like when to use sound, when not to use sound.
Yes.
Like
I really enjoyed
eeriness.
Where they placed it.
Pretty quiet film for the most part.
It is, yeah.
It's not too much is happening. Like it's not crazy, especially for like an alien movie, end of the world movie, you know, because it's very character and like centered around this family, and not necessarily. It's more even so like. It's honestly like a family movie, and there just happens to be like an alien, taking over the world situation happening. But it's really like, they're like, bitches, what y'all got going on today? We're over here traumatizing.
Yeah, we're trying to
grieving.
Get over it.
Yeah. Can y'all mind your business?
Yeah, exactly. And overcome our mistakes.
Yeah.
From Meryl's standpoint.
That's true. Yeah.
There's what people think is his mistake.
There's so many different elements that are really centered around their emotions and their trauma.
And like you said, it really is a film. Well, you said this when we were speaking about it personally, not on here, but that it's really about a film about a man finding his faith again.
Yeah. Like it really, especially rewatching it now, like analyzing where it starts and where it ends. It's like a bookend to like the whole story that happens. And even for me, I'm like, I'm not like super into religious like that, like but like I've grown up around it and stuff. Even I was like, oh, yay, he loves Jesus again.
Yeah,
like I was like, that's
same.
Awesome.
I was like, oh, good, he's a preacher again.
Like that, you found yourself again, because he definitely was a man who lost himself in the aftermath of losing the love of his life. And like in such a brutal way.
To the like, especially with that scene at the dinner table when he's saying, I'm not wasting one more second of my life on prayer. Yeah. Because it doesn't work. Basically. Yeah. So I feel like that statement to come out of a former priest or father's mouth is like, huge.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, because even now, was raised in the church. I don't believe or practice, and I still pray. Like,
oh yeah,
in my brain.
I mean,
and stuff,
I
just little things.
I mean, I
it's
have
a conversation open. But it's just going with whoever's a higher power.
I wouldn't even say I'm agnostic, because I feel like I believe kind of in a God in a way, but like not in like necessarily in all the fundamental rules of like, Christianity and the Bible, all 100%. Like,
I believe there's something bigger.
Yeah, and I think that there's also everybody's
even if
own,
this is a simulation.
Yeah, everybody has their own walk. Essentially, a Christian reference. You have your own walk with Christ. You have your own walk in life, essentially, with whatever and whoever you choose to not worship, but necessarily choose to believe in, and how that fits for you. So yeah, it's definitely, as like just empathizing as a human, I feel his story through the movie, and I feel what they're going through, and it's kind of like in the human condition, just really nice to find someone come back and like find the thing that they used to drive them and get back to it after going through a really horrible thing.
I know. So
it's
sad.
so sad for not, for his whole family, and like, even thinking about it in the context of putting yourself in this perspective of someone who is in faith and a leader in faith, a father, like someone who preaches to people every Sunday, and then has to have that happen to them and really be challenged to like dig, like, do I believe in this? And do I feel like this happened for a reason and it was their time? And,
was it meant to be, as she said? Yeah.
And like all this, or like, does he go about hating the world because it, like, something really trouble, bad happened, so
exactly.
And aliens.
They're also there. Yeah, that's good. Wee boo, wee boo. They didn't make that sound, JK.
Oh god, it would have been really cool if they did. Yeah, no, and hearing, let's dig into it, because there's so many moments in this movie, like those sounds, like where I'm just like watching it, I was just like, this is such a good film.
It really is. Yeah, they did a fantastic job with, again, all the sounds, everything.
I love your socks, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
They're a little dirty.
Those are super cool.
I mean, they're clean when I put them on my feet. They're just, they're old.
Socks touch the floor all the time. So, of course, if you could see the white of my socks, like they're all brown on the bottom. You can wash. Yeah. It's not like dirt brown, but they have that tinge to them. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Signs. This is a listener request. Did we say that from
Andrew? We did it.
Yeah. So
this is a listener request.
This is one of those special every other week episodes. From Andrew. Yeah.
From Caitlin's BooBaes.
That's right. And before any of y'all think that he got special treatment, I'm pretty sure he requested this even before we had a listener request list.
Over a year ago. Yeah.
So he was like, when are y'all ever going to do it? And we're like, okay, fine, we'll do it.
We got it. He's a faithful listener, so we gotta.
He does. He does listen. So gotta appreciate that, and who knows? Yeah, if half these listener requests are still with us.
Well, we're gonna do them.
We're still gonna do them because it's fun,
and it's been updated, so it's not like we don't have.
I know
new
it's
ones,
gotten longer. Yay! But as we said, Signs 2002, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalan, and then. It basically, from that fun, exciting music that's opening, we jump into a very quiet yard,
a very quiet backyard. Yes.
So it's a nice, like, very stark contrast from the sound that's like anxiety, and then you just like to this nice, beautiful, sunny yard that feels very serene.
It does, yeah, and it's like it's a brand new day, giving and we have the dad, kind of Mel Gibson, getting up abruptly.
Yeah, he wakes with a start. Guess he had a little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
You can probably guess what it was.
And he then kind of walks around the house. It's the morning, as one does. He steps out into the hallway, and you see that there used to be a cross on the wall that's not there anymore. And he's going over to check on the kids' room, and he's like trying to listen, see if they're awake, and he doesn't hear anything. So he essentially thinks like, oh yeah, they're asleep in there.
So he goes to brush his teeth.
Yeah, do the things that you do, and then we just hear a scream.
Yeah,
we hear a kid screaming.
I was like, wait, is my closed captioning messing up? Or am I hearing things? Like,
Yeah.
Or at first, I think my closed captioning lagged a bit.
Gotcha.
And I heard the screaming, and I was like, is there a child screaming outside my house?
Because it's in the background a little bit. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, no, that's on the TV.
Yeah. And so of course he's alarmed. So he goes out. We also see that Merrill, his brother, lives in a little, apartment to the side of his house, and he comes out
garage apartment
and
over the garage apartment.
And they're like, what's going on? And they're like, the kids, obviously. And so they're like going through a corn phase, running towards where the kids are screaming from. And we learned that Morgan is one of the kids.
Yeah, because they're yelling for Morgan, and then they run into Bo.
Yeah.
So that helps us know who she, like, it establishes our characters. And I think he even said, like, Meryl as he was running out. So it's like you're getting their names. We
got all the names except for Dad.
Because you don't get his until, the cop.
Caroline.
Which I really liked because everyone just kept calling him father or dad. And then he doesn't get this, like, identity prescribed to him until
he has to declare who he is to her. Yeah. Which also drives just another part in the movie, like another layer in the context of like world building and his arc and his story. Because already we get from just that interaction that they're going to have like the way that he delivers it to her.
Yeah, because he just says like, I'm not a father. Don't call me that. And then as she leaves, she finally says,
Graham.
Like, goodbye, Graham.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it's like, oh, that's his name. Because at first I was sitting there thinking like, damn, did I really like fuck up and not hear this guy's name?
Yeah, no, it just never came up. Because I don't remember
their names.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like when I think back about this film, I don't think Meryl, I think Joaquin Phoenix.
That's true. And same. Mel Gibson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mel's character.
So I'm like, I don't remember these characters' names. It's been so long since I've seen this. And
I definitely didn't. I remembered Meryl, but I definitely didn't remember Graham.
Meryl.
And I
knew a dog named
I remembered Bo, but I didn't remember Morgan's name.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like Morgan for a guy. I think that's a good name.
Cool name. And so we come up to the kids, and we have Morgan just kind of looking out into what is us, essentially the viewer, and we have the dad kind of talking to him like, what's up, what's going on? And he's like, I think God did it. And he's like, he did what? And he like nudges his little head, and he has to show his dad what's in front of them, and pans out, and it's a crop circle,
completely flattened circle, like a massive circle too.
It's huge compared to like, especially when it pans out and you see their bodies.
Yeah And then you see the other circles as well.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Because then it kind of
also, they got big crops.
They do. I know, that's a fuck ton of corn.
Yeah, I was like, what is he? I guess that's their hustle, how they make money. I don't know.
I would say that must be his job.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, but he was a father.
Yeah, that's why
Who's
I'm like,
farming?
I've never heard of a father being a farmer, and then like what? Like I don't know.
I guess maybe he really only has to work on Sunday.
I guess.
No, but he's got to sit in and listen to confessional and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
And there's like and if he's a father, like Catholic,
maybe there's just subsistence
really
farmers, like that's all their corn. I don't know.
Maybe that's a fuck ton of corn for one family.
Or he gives it away to the community because he is a father.
Oh, maybe.
You never know.
They don't explain this to us.
Or he just inherited it. I don't know.
We're not supposed to think too hard.
We're not. All right, let's move on. Leave the corn behind.
Bye-bye, corn.
But it is a major component because we do have the crop circle.
I mean, this is like where half the film takes place.
And
it's in the corn.
Literally, the dad is on the phone. At this point, I guess I'll call him Graham. Graham's on the phone, and he's talking to someone named Lee because he believes that it's Lee's son and his little gang of like hooligans. Yeah, who are just playing jokes or something. And he's saying like, I think that they were like in town at the movie theater or something like that.
Yeah.
And so there was an alibi. And so he's just like, okay. So it kind of leaves like he tried to have a suspect to something that he already thought like, well, this is very strange.
Yeah.
Like, how is this even possible? So he was trying to rationalize, and he's like, well, it's got to be them.
Because it is super weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it is. And so at this point too, he calls the cops come, right?
Yeah, he called
Houdini
the cops
peed on the floor.
And and there's something about Bucks County, Pennsylvania, 40 miles outside of Philadelphia. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I think that was just to show like how
where
much
they
like
were.
away from the city they were,
Yeah.
like away from everybody. Yeah.
Okay. And then poor Houdini, he
Mhm.
peed inside, and it's
He
like
peed on
that's
the floor. Poor
never
baby.
a good sign.
Yeah.
That was how I knew that Kitty needed to get to the vet. And Patrick called me and told me that, and he was like, "She's just like laying in it." I was like, "No, that's not normal. No, a
person, no animal,
anything
just
wants to just sit in their own pee." Yeah.
Yeah, and so Houdini's a little sick, and
Poor
so
little
they take
baby.
Houdini out. He's cleaning it, and finally we have, I believe, Caroline, right? Yeah, she's the cop. She shows up.
I just called her cop lady for the longest
Well, I love
time.
he's like, I only called you like 2 hours ago, and she's like, sorry, there was something going on in town.
And it was the most bizarre
story of some old lady spitting all over like a music store or something, right?
A skateboard
store
because she fell.
Because some
skateboarders were coming down the sidewalk too fast or something, and she like
broke a wrist or something.
Yeah, broke something, and so then she got mad and went into the store and just like
spit on everything.
Everything. What a fucking passive and like honestly, what a like fitting solution for like
and a story that like even in the context of a movie, I'm like, that's so unmade up that it had to be true. Like, I feel like they took that from like a news story in real life. Yeah. You know, because it was so.
That's some shit that definitely on Florida. Florida lady spits all over skateboards. Yeah, literally.
And so
it's always Florida.
It is Florida man, Florida lady, and so we have what's his name outside, Morgan, barbecuing because he's like, Dad's gonna burn these again.
I know.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this like boy is essentially
9-year-old
raising himself.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, he was super mature for his age.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like every Culkin plays
a mature kid for their age.
Mature kid for their age.
True.
They probably were way too mature for their age.
Yeah. In the industry.
But he gave it even more than Macaulay. Like,
he was a very serious role. Like a very I don't know.
I wasn't at first sure if that was
what's the word like I'm looking for. Yeah.
If that was Rory or not, but I was like, this kid is definitely given McCulkin. And then I was like, oh, because it is.
Yeah.
But it has same mannerisms. Like
his brother.
They have very similar approaches, I feel like, to acting, even in like the comical aspect of like Home Alone and stuff like that. But I feel like it was still very gave the same vibe.
McCulkin. And he's making them some burgers, some weenies, and then we do see that.
I think there's some chicken breasts too.
Yeah, and then we have a very important role in the movie because we get this the inception of Bo, and she has this thing about water where she thinks that if like the slightest thing is up with it or wrong with it, that it is contaminated.
Yes.
Which comes
any little thing. She's
a speck of dust. There's a hair. Like we do see that later. It play into it. Yeah.
Tastes funny. Something is off. And then she says contaminated, and he goes, "You don't even know what that word means."
I love the way she said it too. It's so cute.
It was precious.
Contaminated, but she essentially tries to push the bowl. This has always irked me, even when I was younger. I don't know why, and like now I'm watching it, I'm like, I just don't. The way she just slides that bowl and the water's like sloshing everywhere, and
just fucking like, pick it up.
Oh, because I hate getting splashed. I hate getting wet. I don't like it.
Me too. This is something we agree wholeheartedly on.
I have a very and so just the thought of that.
Do not like to get wet without my permission.
Splashing on it just makes me cringe.
Like even washing dishes, if something like splashes onto like my stomach or abdomen, I'm
same.
Like, no, I'm very careful.
Pissed off.
I tried to like make sure that I don't know. I can't.
Same. Yeah, I don't like to deal with it.
I barely like getting wet with my permission.
Yeah, like, I mean, I love swimming. I get swimming. But even when I'm in a pool, I fucking don't splash me. I fucking hate that shit.
Because then it's in my eyeballs.
I fucking hate that shit.
I got chlorine.
And I don't like when, yeah. Like, so, But anyways.
Moral of story.
She
don't put any water on us.
Yeah, don't.
We are gonna. What were those little aliens from that one movie?
Which one?
Oh, wait, no, they needed water. With
War of the Worlds?
No, with Frodo.
Frodo?
Elijah Wood.
You mean the Hobbit? Lord of the Rings?
No. what was that movie that we covered from the 90s?
With Frodo. Oh, The Faculty. With Elijah Wood. Yes. Yes, they did need the water.
They needed the water.
They needed the water.
We were the opposite of those aliens.
Yeah, we are.
Except for I drink water like those aliens do.
I need to start drinking.
I've already gone through a gallon today.
You do great because you have that big big jug.
That's true. Well, the top shattered on that the other day, and that's the one thing that Arctic doesn't sell.
Oh, really? So you have to like rebuy the whole thing?
Yeah, and it was on sale for like $24 the other day, and I should have just bought it. But then now it's back up to $50, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's still not that bad compared to like some. Anyways,
I have a water thing, but the thing is, it's just like about carrying it everywhere, and it's just like I forget it. But yeah, so Houdini acts a little crazy because he starts going off on Bo and like just growling and acting really irritable, very not Houdini like.
Yeah.
Which they can see, and it really scares Bo, and it really like Morgan's just like telling her don't run, and then we see cutting to the crop circle and
and the officer,
what's his name,
saying,
Graham, showing her.
Yeah, and he's showing her, and then she's saying, yeah, some animals have been acting violent around the county. Like, they've been getting some reports basically saying they're acting like they do when there's a predator around, peeing on themselves, stuff like that.
Which we already know Houdini did.
Yes, and so you see that, like, flicker of recognition.
In his face,
yeah. You're kind of like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
And we do have them talking about how they don't understand how the corn is broken, like the stalks of it, remember the way that it is, like what machine could do this, like how is it even, possible?
And I think she looks up later and she said 2 to 3 men could make a circle of that size and breaking it like that using boards or something, like 2x4s and to flatten it like that. But
that sounds like a lot
even
of work.
then, like just to make that one circle, it would take them all night.
Yeah.
To make it as like symmetrical and everything that it was.
That's crazy. It's ridiculous. Nobody could do that.
Yeah, and why?
Yeah,
why would you do that? Like, if you have the time to do that, go do
something else with your life.
Get a hobby.
Yeah, and so at this point too, I remember she does call him father, and that's whenever we do have him going up, and he's like, I don't hear the kids. Do you?
Stop calling me father. I don't hear my children.
Yeah, and so they end up running back to go check on the kids, and we see that unfortunately Morgan killed Houdini. Not like he attacked him, but more so Houdini jumped on him, and he was holding that little pitchfork looking thing that they used to barbecue.
Yeah, he was flipping the chickens with.
And he jumped on him to like lunge at him, and he got stabbed.
Him.
Yeah, so it's pretty traumatizing for a child.
I know.
Yep.
Especially it was just so sad. And then basically then Meryl walks out with like fucking mashed potatoes or something in his hands.
And Graham has to be like, where were you? And he's like, I was inside. And so he's like, tie up Isabel.
Isabel, yeah.
And make sure it's really tight. And then I hate how he just sets the mashed potatoes on the fucking ground. Nasty ass, like just ground. He doesn't put them on the table or on like the porch. Just sets it on the ground.
Right in the grass for the ants to get. Exactly.
Beetles. So, but at this point, I think it's nighttime now because we do get a picture of like the outside, the front or backyard, or front yard. I can't remember, but
some yard.
Yeah. And we see the corn stalk, stalk of corn.
Oh, that's
cornfield.
The front.
Yeah. And that's when we hear like the crickets are chirping, but then they just go silent after a while.
And then we like suddenly wake to Bo right in front of.
There's a monster outside my window. Can I have a glass of water?
The like way that went was like, what?
Yeah.
But it's such a child thing to say.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
So calm,
all
like
together, and like like you said, calm.
And it's not separated. Like you would be like, there's a monster outside my window, and then I would naturally wait for a response as an adult. Yeah. And then be like, okay. I think like a glass of water or something would help right now. I'm just very upset.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But she said it exactly like how you did. No pause. It was just, there's a monster outside my window. Can I have a glass of water? Or my room. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
I remember that whole scene from when I was watching it. I watched it in theater with my sisters, I think, way back in the day when it came out. And so 2006, right?
Yeah.
It's also 12. So was like really scary because I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because then the whole little scene happens where he takes her back to her room and she's drinking, or not even, she's just sitting on the bed, and he's like asking her like, what are you thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's saying like, why do you talk to mommy by yourself? And he's like, I just like to talk to her, it makes me feel better. And she's like, does she ever answer? And he's like, no. And then he looks up and he looks out the window, and you just see the figure
on the roof. Yeah.
On what is that would be the other apartment,
I believe
right?
it would be Meryl's. Yeah.
Right. And like, it's so scary. It freaked me out so bad when I was little. And even watching it, I was like, oh shit, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because his eyes get big, and he's just like, and it's really abrupt.
But he doesn't want to like tell
her. He's not trying to freak her out. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was such a sad scene, going back like just a little bit, with her saying, and does she ever answer you? And he says no, and she goes, she never answers me either. And it was like, oh, damn. Yeah. That's such a like heavy weight for
topic for like a little kid,
4 or 5-year-old, 5-year-old to be carrying.
To deal with.
I know.
Yeah.
And then and then even too, whenever he had asked her like, what's wrong with the water by your bed, she was like, oh, that one tastes weird, or it tastes old.
Yeah.
So we like get that she's leaving like all of this water everywhere.
Around the house. Yeah.
Like she's just got these half drinking cups of water. And but yeah, then that shot on the roof is just like, ugh.
It's so creepy.
And I love it because it's very, it's dark. You can't. Yeah. Just like they're about to go on and say.
You don't see that much of dark. It. You don't see that much of it. And it just, like, for only a few seconds, it comes and it goes. You feel the fear because of the music. It's like a very like the strings. It's like dun-dun-dun. Yeah. And then like also you see how scared Mel Gibson, a grown ass man, is.
Yeah.
Because he's like, what the fuck? Like,
what the fuck is like sitting there watching me?
Literally.
The idea of being watched from inside, like looking outside and seeing someone standing outside your window is probably one of the most terrifying
giving like
things.
Seeing bagools just standing there and watching you, like giving like some other creepy thing just standing there. Like I would be like, oh, what the fuck?
Even a real human.
Yeah,
I would be scared. I'd be terrified. I'd be like, why are you on the roof?
And like, what the fuck? At night? Like just like
that's fucking
watching,
weird.
That's really creepy.
Go away.
Yeah. And so, like, it's so scary because they have to go. He goes downstairs, and Meryl is down there. I think he was on the couch.
Yeah. He wakes him up, and he's like, come on,
someone's outside.
Explains to them what's going on.
Yeah. And so then
him.
They like have the door open. He's like, okay. Meryl's like, we're gonna make loud noises, and we're gonna swear. And he's like, swear. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna like, say like things like, you're gonna mess them up. And stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
And he was saying like, you don't have to mean it. It's just for show. And he was like,
have you heard me swear? Like, it doesn't sound right.
That's not going to sound right coming out of me. I don't swear. And but their plan is to like, they're both going to run out the front door, run opposite ways around the house. So that way, whatever is out there gets cornered, and they'll run into it. And we even see like the shadow, at least from
Graham sees it.
Graham's view, yeah. Like, so he should have run into him, or at least
Meryl should have seen him from where he was, and then they don't, and
they both run into each other, and it was so funny while he was running. Like, he was like, "I'm insane with anger."
Yeah, literally. And at one point, he finally says, "Like, I'm gonna kick your ass."
I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
And he's like, I swore. Did you hear it? And he's like, yeah.
I heard you. And so they're like, where the heck is this person? And so they hear them on the roof. And they're like really like stunned because they're like, what the fuck? Like, how did this person get on the roof when we were just here? Like, how did we not see them?
There's no way. There's no human.
And it's a 10-foot roof.
Possible way, that this person should just been able to like, bloop.
On the roof there. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really like freaked out. And then they're just listening. And then all of a sudden, is it that the thing like jumped over them.
I believe so. Yeah. Because it sounds like a plop comes from behind them, and then you hear the swing set moving, and then you see the
little
crops
corn stalks moving. Yeah.
As if someone had just ran.
So that's really scary.
It is. Yeah. To know that this thing can just clear right over you. Bleep.
Yeah.
I mean, because a human, where they were standing, if they tried to jump off of there, you would have seen them. They probably would have fallen on them.
Something, yeah. And so they end up, I think at this point,
they're back
the cop,
inside.
Right? Yeah.
And, I think the cop is there.
Yeah. She's talking to Morgan about the walkie-talkie and the baby monitor. That's whenever we
Bo's watching Dexter's Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
It is. And I love that show. And we have Graham finally coming up, and we do see him that he tries to like move glasses of water, but there's so many everywhere that he just like, never mind, I won't deal with this now.
Yeah.
And he sits down so that way she can run some questions, because she has to kind of clear up what they've told her.
She's got to get a report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Caroline was also telling Meryl before Graham showed up that it was nice of him for moving in here after basically the incident. They still haven't like explicitly said what happened.
Which is really nice, because it just builds throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, you don't really get the like whole idea until closer to the end.
But you definitely like, it's so inferred.
Like, you can infer, but
you
then
read between the lines. Yeah,
it's not like fully explained and like written.
Oh yeah,
point
for
blank,
sure.
Like
until
the end.
Yeah, and so we have them kind of saying like, well, it was really dark, but essentially it was a man running around, and they had to jump on the roof. And she's like, well, how do you know it was a man? And
she was like, I've seen plenty of like female Olympians who can do that and do the high jump and that run like the wind.
They can jump over me.
She's like a woman's rights activist out here. We loved it. Feminist.
And so of course Meryl is just like, he's kind of being a little what's like smart aleck and stuff, sarcastic, and
says
he even has to
the possibility that a female Scandinavian Olympian running around outside their house last night.
Yeah.
It probably was a man. Like kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
so he even apologizes for it in a moment.
Which was funny, because it felt like the conversation progressed.
Yeah. And he brings it back up.
Then he's like, you know what? I was wrong.
I was out of line.
I was like, that's funny.
It just shows you more like of the characters, the type of people these people are. And you can also tell like these people know each other. It's a very tight-knit community.
Yeah.
And so we have her just basically saying like, we have to keep options of who it could be, or what it could be, open, because apparently there was some woman who was acting weird at the cafe or somewhere, and nobody's seen her since, and so it could be her. So she's just, she's being what she is, a detective, and just trying to, look at all the options,
not rule out anything too quickly, and then miss the opportunity to make the correct call.
Yeah,
basically. And then Bo comes up in the middle and is like, Dad, where's the remote? And he's like, I don't know. Go check the couch cushions. And then she comes back in a little bit, and she was like, this line just cracked me up. She said, there's only food under the sofa. And I was like, what?
We just got crumbs everywhere.
Crumbs.
Cookies.
I was imagining like whole plates under the sofa.
Whole plate. $5 plates.
That's what I like to think.
Literally. But from the church.
Yep.
Just like
it's just
under.
Actually all the extra corn that they couldn't eat.
It is. They just put it underneath.
It's just corn under there.
All in the cushions. That's not cotton. It's corn.
Just corn. Ew, what a lumpy couch. Ew.
I can't believe it's not corn. It is.
I can't believe it's not corn.
And so we have her saying, she's trying to change. He's like, well, why don't you change the channel on the TV? And she's just like, well, I've tried that, but it's the same thing on every channel.
Which I thought, my brain immediately was like, Dexter's Lab on everything.
Oh, God. Imagine. Syndicated all day, every day.
I was like, man, they really like, the aliens really like Dexter's Lab. They're trying to figure out how to communicate on the people.
And
bring us to Dexter.
Of course, they're all very like, wait, what? That sounds weird. And so they go to the living room and they go to see the TV. And we do see that like lights, right, had appeared over India. No, crop circles. Sorry. Crop circles were appearing everywhere, all over like a lot of parts of India. And they're just
popping up overnight. And it was like 40-something different locations.
And they're really like... They're, of course, they have a crop circle that they were dealing with. And so they're like, whoa, this can't really be happening.
Yeah,
this
like
is weird.
This is little bit too much of a coincidence.
Yeah.
And then crops, like they were kind of explaining there was some narrative going on that like crop circles, have been at least studied in an emergence since the 70s, but like these ones are now, it's been like one or two here and there, and then now this one is multiples popping up overnight. Yeah. And that's just too much. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's strange. It's an anomaly. And so we have them, I think this is where she calls him the name. Yeah, she's like, Graham, because he's like, don't call me father again. And so she's like, telling him like, what y'all need to do is go out to the city, like just, do normal folk things and just get out there,
ice cream,
get some ice
don't
cream,
think
go
about
watch a movie.
Yeah.
Spend time with your children.
You've already had way too much trauma to deal with. Like,
you just need to
maybe
like have fun.
Take a step back from this very heavy news that just got dropped on you.
Yeah. And so they end up doing that because they end up getting, in the car. They're on their way to the city. They're like, Morgan wants to listen to the radio to see what's going on. And Graham turns it off very quickly. And he's just like, no radio either. And
because it was, of course, talking about,
the crop circles and everything, the aliens. And so they end up going to the city and they all break up. We have Morgan.
Yeah, I love how they automatically just all went their separate ways.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is not a family outing?
No,
okay.
Yeah. And so we have Dad going to the pharmacy and we have Meryl going to like a recruiting army place.
Yeah, yeah. And then the kids going to a bookstore and they go in there first, basically, and the news is still on there.
Yeah.
Going on, and they're watching it with the bookshop owners. And he's like, I think this is all just a ploy to sell soda. I've seen 12 soda pop commercials. Like, what?
That's funny.
At a later point, he yells 13.
It's really funny. And there's levity to it.
Yeah.
Because then Morgan even asks, like, do you have any books on extraterrestrials? And he's just extraterrestrials. And he's just like, don't tell me you believe in this. I don't even remember.
Mumbo jumbo, I don't know, phooey.
Yeah, something like that. And she's like, as a matter of fact, came in by accident. It's, third shelf to the left.
I knew exactly the exact placement of the book.
That's what threw me off too. I was like, but you know what? That is, she's got that efficient, shit in order. Literally. Yeah.
And she said, we kept it for the city folk or the city people.
Funny. But yeah, aren't they supposed to be the city people?
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
It's for the bigger city people.
Yeah, that moved to a smaller town.
Yeah. And so we then cut to, I think, what Graham's or Meryl's at the army enlistment place. I don't know. But
I think we cut to Graham, actually. You're correct.
Oh, he's at the pharmacy?
At the pharmacy. Yeah. Because everyone keeps calling him father.
That's right.
Then he's like, I'm not even a reverend anymore. And then he hasn't been for 6 months. And then I think we do pop back to Meryl. Then we just like briefly pop in with him.
Kind of interjects between them all at this moment, and we have him with a recruiting person, and I don't know what that guy is, but he's some officer guy, and he's like saying
he's crazy.
Yeah, and he's like, I know what this is, and basically trying to explain to Meryl like it's because he's in the military, so it's basically like their tactics, and he's like what they're doing is sending out like a little reconnaissance team, and they're evaluating and getting a feel of the land and seeing what they can do and take to like their leaders or whoever so they can come back with more, you know? Yeah, it
was like creepy once you realize that too. Basically he's confirming that. I mean, we don't have to believe that that's the correct theory, but it does feel like
at that point it really gives that
like, ooh, it's gonna be not safe. They're going to be a little bit hostile.
And so we end up then following back with Graham at the pharmacy, and he's trying to buy.
And he talked about his 5 minor league records.
Oh my God, that's really important. Well. Yeah, because what's his name is there? The son. Lee's son.
Was he there the whole time, or did he like slip in during the middle of the conversation?
He was there, I think, the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And just being like awful quiet.
Yeah.
Because then the army guy's like, wait, do I know you? You're Meryl whatever. I almost said Meryl Streep. You're Meryl Streep. Don't you have 5 minor league records?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, I do. Like I've got the bat that hit that fucking like 507.
Something.
I don't know, something yard. I don't know.
Home run, something like that.
Really
it went far.
But then that's when homeboy pipes up and he says he also holds the strikeout record.
He striked out them more than any two little league players combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, the guy had asked him, like, why didn't you go pro with an arm like that? And he was like, well, he just swung every time. And then that's when Meryl says it felt wrong not to swing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, so the man's got an arm.
Yeah.
Like, homeboy, I mean,
it's really setting up the story,
is so scary.
And it's setting up, kind of a lot of another theme of the movie, and just like, there are no coincidences. Things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And so we have them meeting back. Graham is talking to the pharmacist lady, the little cashier girl, and she's like basically saying, she keeps calling him father, even though he already told her like twice or 3 times, like, I'm not a father anymore.
And she's trying to like confessing to him.
Yeah.
Even though he already said like, no.
Yeah. And so she does, and she's, I mean, it's kind of funny, but she's just, basically like,
she's like, I swore 37 times this week. And then she goes, is douchebag a cuss word? And he goes, I guess it depends on how you use it. And she was like, you're a douchebag for doing this, blah, 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 or something. And then she goes, okay, then it's not 37, it's 71. And I was like, how did you use
jump?
Basically douchebag 40 times? Also, why are you keeping track?
She had to confess, man.
That was funny.
She had to make sure she was making sure she didn't go to hell.
Yeah, before the possible end of the world from what they're watching.
Right. And so we have them meeting back at the pizza shop, or we have Graham coming there. He was late because she was talking to him forever, confessing, and he like tells them like, please don't ever spend time alone with Tracy, something. But as they're sitting there and he's barely able to get like a bite of his pizza in, we see this guy walking down the street getting into his vehicle, who just happens to be played by M. Night Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm.
And his name's Ray.
Stephen King.
Yeah, his name's Ray.
Cameo.
And they're all looking at him, and we have Morgan asking like, is that him? And then Meryl's like, yeah, and they're just looking at him, and you can already infer like this is
something happened,
something who is important to them or did something to them.
You could tell it was between the mom. I was like, wait, is mom not dead? Did she like cheat or something? And she left. And then that was that guy who she left.
The other man.
Yeah. But as we find out later, that's not the case. But then we get back home.
Yeah.
And as they pull up, Morgan's baby monitor that he was using as a walkie-talkie, starts making noises.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Chewbacca.
Yeah. Chewbacca in space.
Yep.
The movie. And so we have them, they are listening to the baby monitor because they're like, whoa, what is that? And already we had it set up earlier that by the cops, she was like, it can pick up other signals,
Mm-hmm.
if you use the baby monitor, you can pick up like the frequency from the cop walkie-talkie or something like that. I don't know. Some mumbo jumbo. And so it's essentially picking up communication between the other aliens. I don't know, from their spaceship and the spaceship to some of them on the ground.
I'm assuming it's a spaceship because they say it gets clearer as they get.
Oh, that's true. Closer to the sky.
Yeah.
So they like get on top of the vehicle and like
which the whole time Morgan was like
pyramid,
really coming up with these solutions.
Oh yeah.
He was like, it's a code, and then he was just like, it's getting clearer as we get towards the sky. And I was like, you barely like have gotten closer to what? And
I remember the scene lasting a lot longer when I was younger for some reason. So when it happened, I was like, oh, that was over pretty fast. But it was pretty cool though, because you start hearing them and they're just like,
and it is getting clearer.
And they're just talking, and the music itself is really scary. Yeah.
And like, just very ominous, like static, the way that it sounds is because they try to write it off as like, that's just static. And I was like,
no, static doesn't sound like that.
Static.
And then because then it just cuts out.
Yeah.
And then you actually hear static.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all end up going inside, because I just remember Isabel. I have a minute.
And he also at one point was like, "There's 2 of them talking," and I was like, "How can you tell?"
Yeah.
How can you tell?
This little boy was even later when he's like the book, and then just happen to say everything that we need to know. I mean, it's great for the movie, but like,
it is.
It's kind of a little far fetched for like a little 9-year-old.
Also, and like to say the same thing that the reporter was gonna say.
Oh too. Yeah, that's right.
He did give, obviously, with his maturity and stuff, his emotional maturity, everything was. Well,
it emotional maturity to an extent. Yeah, but even saying what the other dude said on the TV too, this movie did have a lot of moments where it was like it tied into like, the coincidences, and there are no coincidences, and everything's a sign, the movie title.
Because
so
even
I think even him saying that is like a sign of like what it is.
Yeah. And even the mom's last words are a sign.
Yeah.
For this
everything.
moment,
the whole movie,
he didn't know, because he at first was like her brain haywired, and so she just said, "Swing away."
Even before that, when she's like, tell Graham to see, because he's not see, but like see, like like to believe, to like see with his eyes.
It's
so,
not faith if you see with your eyes.
Yeah,
and so you gotta like blindly trust,
exactly,
and believe.
Mm-hmm. But we have them checking on Isabel because she's freaking out. I believe at some point.
And see the miracles around him.
Yeah. She was making some noise, but anyways, he ends up going into the cornfield because he's just trying to like inspect like what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's nighttime.
I loved when he talked to Isabel and he goes, "You're gonna feel very silly when it turns out to all be make believe."
Yeah.
It's like
he ends up going into the cornfield because at this point even the music and everything's like motioning, like I think the crickets died again, went off, and so he's like going to look, and it's really the tension's building because you're like, oh my god, is he gonna run into something? And he's going and looking through the crops. I really like, it's really like scary the way like
it's kind of that first person point of view, and you're just getting that flashlight,
and he's just going through it, and you can tell it's thick. And I'm just thinking also like, I know they're his crops,
something
but how does he not like
corner,
anything?
And how do you not get lost?
How does he not get lost? Yeah, so it's very scary.
And
so
I love when he also got into the crop circle. He's like, I'm not going to report you. I'm not going to report you to the news. Like, you're not going to get famous. I'm not
like how he's even like taunting, and it's just like, oh, that's so scary. Yeah.
And then when the clicking sound comes up like from right behind him,
I literally wrote like, this is so scary. That's all.
It makes my like it sends a shiver
especially
down my
the way
spine.
they put the camera, like it just zooms in real quick to his ear, like pans in the way it does, because it's not even like a zoom in. It's like a like or they change the aspect ratio. I don't know if they do, but it's so scary and abrupt. And he's just like, whoa, because he's so scared that he drops that flashlight.
Yeah.
And then we just see him pick it up, and he turns around, and you have the wind kind of rushing by him, and then he just flashes it, and all of a sudden you see the leg and like the like kind of just like shoulder piece, and they just turn into the crop, and it's just, ooh.
And it's so pale and icky and long.
Scary. Yeah.
Scary.
Scared.
And the way that this man can run.
Oh yeah,
because he was like,
honestly,
nope.
I don't blame him. I feel like I would run like Usain Bolt too, because like that is frightening.
Star.
And the way he then like is running through that thing, and then like cuts through the thing, and he's just like fighting through all of it, and then trying to get back to home.
And then he so casually walks in, just sits down at the dinner table, silent.
I feel like I kind of know this fear. It's reminiscent to like when I would have that irrational fear when I would be in a swimming pool and I thought a shark would be put into it whenever I would go under the water and close my eyes. And so I would come out of the water and I'd have to swim so fast to like the edge and get out because I'd be so freaked out that there was a shark in there.
A shark.
And I had to look. I don't know why I had that fear as a kid. And when I would
cute.
go under the water, I'm talking about I'm 10, I'm 12, that somehow a shark would end up in there. And I would like, yeah.
Maybe you died of a shark attack in another life.
But that's even the thing is like, even though as someone who is like, I love the ocean and I like love things of the ocean.
Don't you love sharks?
I love sharks. Yeah, I got a shark tattooed on me.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
But like when I like in the ocean, I remember like I've had that moment where I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like intense, sharp, quick fear and panic because I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know what's around me.
No,
yeah.
Like lakes.
Oh yes.
Can't get in that shit for that reason.
Oh, I've swam in the Brazos before too, and it's really freaky because it's like
there's poo poo in there,
and it's so murky you can't see any. Yeah,
I'd be more worried about the poo poo.
Yeah.
Anyways, very terrifying.
But snapping turtles in there now that like, and so I'm like, ooh, almost had my ding-a-ling snapped.
Oh, that as well.
Yeah, my ding-a-ling. And so so we can you imagine the pain?
Yeah,
I would just die, just drown.
I got stung by a jellyfish on my boob once.
Ooh, yeah.
That hurt.
I've never been stung by a jellyfish. Is it how on a level 1 to 10?
I suppose it depends on what kind of jellyfish. In Galveston and like the Gulf, there's a boatload of jellyfish, and so I would swim there. There was one time I got stung like 12 times in one day.
But you felt them?
Oh yeah.
Was it like
it's like
zap or like?
It's more like a pinch.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And then it kind of burns.
Oh, like an irritation in a way. Okay, gotcha.
I don't think we peed on it, so that's good.
I think that's been debunked.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't think it does anything.
I
think you're supposed to put mayonnaise on it. I'm kidding.
If you put mustard on burns, it helps.
Yeah, it
Yellow
does. Mustard. Mustard.
What I put on my burns a lot.
Or like an egg yolk.
Yeah.
When you put it on there, it helps to like stop it from getting worse.
I don't know why, but it does.
And please take us back to the movie.
So basically, Graham walks back in, and then he just like quietly sits down at the table. The kids are doing dishes. Meryl's like I guess in front of the TV or something.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not on because
no. He's reading a book. He's reading the book, and the kids are doing the dishes.
Because then Graham says, "Okay, let's turn on the TV."
And this is when it gets freaky.
Yeah, because basically a boatload of UFOs, unidentified flying objects, those lights that you were saying earlier, have popped up.
Over Mexico City.
Yeah, and neither radars from Mexico or the U.S. were picking them up.
Yeah, they just basically popped
went,
up.
Bloop, and they're there.
Yeah. And so it's really freaky because obviously, like, lights in the sky. We're watching this, and then we have...
And it was a lot.
Yeah, we have...
It looked like a
fleet.
From, like...
Star Wars. And so we have Morgan even being like, this is important, we got to record this, and he tries to do it over Bo's recital, but she's like, nuh-uh. So he ends up he
goes off like telling her it's for your children.
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch, she's like 4.
Like, this will change the future. This is the future as we know it, whatever. I don't know. History books.
Everything they wrote in science books is about to change.
And we have him saying, like, Uncle Meryl, I'm gonna use your tape or something. And what did it something Meryl swimsuit?
It was a swimsuit special.
Yeah,
that's what I said. So I was like,
I didn't know. I'm
what
like,
is this tape?
What? When I was little, I thought, was that porn or like a Victoria's Secret swimsuit thing? But then I was thinking, like, is that his swimsuit special? Like,
no, I feel like it was definitely women, and I feel like maybe he told him like, no, this is Uncle Meryl's special tape.
Okay,
don't ever touch this one. Yeah, don't watch it. But of course, that makes children want to watch it more.
Yeah, so that's whenever they end up, recording it. They're watching what's going on. It's talking about, the lights and everything. The kids end up falling asleep, and there's this scene where Meryl and Graham are talking, and the way that it's set up and like the lighting and like so dark, and you just kind of see Mel Gibson's eyes for most of it. And I don't know why when I was younger it scared the fuck out of me, this whole scene. Like, I don't know if it's the subject matter.
I mean, it is a very dark, like,
because even like his tone, and like the way it's all getting talked and like acted out, like it's just so heavy and it's scary to me.
Is.
I don't know why.
It is.
Even now, it's like the scene is still creeping me out
because he's basically sitting there saying like, there's some people who see this as a sign, and he says there's 2 kinds of people in the world: those who see it as a sign or a miracle, or then those that see it as, do people just get lucky? Or like, and he's like basically asking, do you believe in coincidence? And the way he is delivering it, you can tell his point of view. And it is the
cynical, like very grim, like, and then Meryl has to go and tell his like little story about almost getting puked
anecdote,
on.
How he kissed Miranda McKinney.
But I mean, he ain't wrong.
That would have been a miracle.
Yeah.
Well, there's an anime I watch called Chainsaw Man. And in one of the scenes, the girl like throws up in his mouth.
That's gross.
And he was like, what?
Yeah.
It's so gross.
It's nasty.
It is.
I've thrown up in my own mouth.
Yeah,
like,
I've never thrown up in someone else's mouth. I did have someone like burp in my mouth. Like on accident. It was like they burped while we were like.
I think I've had to have done that at one point or had that happen to me. I feel like
I'd pull away. I go.
I mean, it was an accident.
And it was still pretty gross.
I mean, it depends on like.
Still burp in my mouth.
For me, I think it was like a boyfriend. Was it just a boyfriend or?
or someone I was kissing.
Oh, okay. Because it'd be different if I was like, it was just like a fling, or I was like making out with someone for the first time and they. Like,
it definitely was not a boyfriend.
Oh,
this was like probably one of our first times. Like,
okay, yeah, that's way different. That is totally way different. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, punch him in the face. And so. I was like, if this was someone like you were like so comfortable with and it just accidentally like slipped out.
Oh, I'd be like, that's fine. Yeah, like if Andrew, you can burp in my mouth. Please don't. That's so weird. But I won't judge you if you do.
I know you're listening to this episode, Andrea, if any of them. But
you're listening to this.
Your request. But yeah, so we have him then saying, to Meryl, I never told you what Colleen's last words were, and he was like, they were Meryl, swing away.
Yeah, swing away.
Swing away, yeah. And so then we flash back to
and this is I think the line that kind of nails it. He says, there's no one watching out for us. We are all on our own. And it's like, oh God. Yeah. And then we get a flashback
to what happened that night, of the accident when we lost Miss Colleen. Mm-hmm. Because obviously we know that she died at this point, and then we don't get much. We just know that I think the cop is telling him like Ray fell asleep at the wheel. It wasn't a drunk driving accident, freak accident. And before we get kind of any more information, he wakes up.
Yeah.
And
he has 2 cute little Staffordshire dog statues on his mantle.
Yeah.
The house was like really well decorated. Mm-hmm. I liked it. Sorry.
I know you're good.
I have a Staffordshire dog.
And
not that one though.
So at this point, they've been asleep. He was asleep for a while. The kids, I believe, are still asleep, or they're outside playing actually, because Meryl put the TV in the closet. He was like, I told them to go outside and play because it's not good for them to be watching this all day. They're going to get obsessed.
And he's clearly the one obsessed.
Yeah. Because it's like to protect the children.
But it's so weird that he moved it into the closet.
It's like a closet underneath the stairs or something. Yeah.
Harry Potter closet.
Very much so. A broom cupboard. And we have them watching the news because he's like, you need to watch this. And it's essentially, they thought that the ships had left, but they haven't really left. They're just like invisible or cloaked, because it showed on a loop that this bird is like flying and it ends up hitting like something invisible and just falls. And they went to check it on the ground, and it was like, impacted
Reminds
skull.
Me of Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, basically that he thinks that these crop circles are some landmark visual mapping system so that they can navigate.
Oh yeah. Which ain't wrong.
And then this is where the dad's like, okay, whatever. And he goes upstairs and he walks in with the 2 kids having tinfoil hats on.
Yeah.
And I was like, reading. Yay!
And they look like little kisses, and they are reading a book. It's Morgan's book, the one that he got from the library, or not the bookstore, my bad. And the dad, Graham, he sits down, to try to see what they're reading about. And at first he starts scoffing, at what Morgan's saying.
Yeah, because he says they're probably vegetarians because they realize the benefits of such a diet. And I was like, yay.
Yeah.
And then he was like, who wrote this?
Yeah. And so, of course, he's like, if you're just going to make fun of it, then you don't even read it at all. And
then the doctor's name, it was like written by Dr. Bimbu. And he was like,
yeah,
Bimbu.
Bimbu, yeah.
Come on.
It's just, it's a joke waiting to happen. And so we have him listening a bit more, and he's going on about whether, they are good or like bad aliens. If they were good aliens, they would come, to like just kind of learn and observe. But if they're hostile, then they're coming to either, their planet is like died and they're coming to use our resources, or they're just coming to just literally obliterate us, conquering. And so we're learning a lot from Mr. Bimbu. And then that's whenever we end up turning to a page, after like going over some pages of like what might be an alien look like. And it's very eerie because it looks like
their house.
It's like their house in the book. And it's got the same windows and everything, and like being invaded by some aliens. And then we see
on fire,
and their bodies like on the ground, like
3
numbered
bodies,
exactly. Yeah.
1 adult and 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh.
Yeah, it's very scary and eerie, because then the phone rings and they're like, what? And they freak out.
And that's when he says, that's enough Dr. Bimbu for now.
Yeah.
And then everyone needs to calm down and eat some fruit or something.
He ends up answering the phone and ends up being Ray, but it's like, doesn't make sense. And like, there's stuff going on in the background, and he just hangs up. So he's just like, he ends up telling Meryl like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to go visit Ray. I think he just called me, which is obviously really strange. So he goes over to Ray's. We learned that Ray's a veterinarian, actually.
Yeah. And that was why earlier, whenever he said,
called the human doctor and not a vet.
And he was like, he doesn't treat animals. And he was like, it'll do.
Yeah.
So he really doesn't want to go see Ray.
Yeah. And so we do have him looking around the property. He sees that like it looks like someone maybe broke in. There was an altercation in the house. And then he finally sees Ray and like his vehicle packed up.
Just sitting there.
He goes over to him, and he's just, doesn't really even say much. But then Ray starts talking to him. He's like, I've had your number there written down, by the phone. And I've been meaning to call, since 6 months ago, but I haven't been able to. And whenever I knew the thing was in the house, your number was the only one I could think of to call.
Yeah, I panicked and that was it. And like we saw that he's been injured as well. He has blood in his lower abdomen. And so that, obviously you're not thinking clearly.
Yeah, and we do, and obviously,
and apparently dealing with something otherworldly.
Oh, yeah.
As well. So that's a lot.
Because even Graham was just like, what happened? And then Ray kind of goes off first of just being like, I'm sorry for what I've done to you and your family.
And says how he hit her while she was walking.
And it just had to be at that same, that's really brutal. Yeah. And it just had to be at that same moment like that.
Because he said he'd been driving for like 10 to 15 minutes before and there was nothing, not a single car, nothing. Yeah. Like the worst that could have happened is he just dozed off and like
hit a ditch and had a headache.
Yeah. But of course, the like one moment that he had to doze off, she was there, and
I know the feeling.
He like feels so not hitting another person,
someone, but very, very tree. Anyways, tree. And so we do have
He's basically saying he's going to the lake.
Yeah, that's true. Because
they don't like water.
He has a theory that they don't like water.
Yeah.
He's heard that like none of their places that they're set up by is close to like water. So
yeah. And then he casually is like, I locked one in the pantry, so don't open it. And then just drives off.
And what did we say?
Like, what?
If you tell somebody that not to do something, what are they going to go do?
They're going to go do it. But before we get to that, we flash back to
one of my favorite scenes. One of my favorite scenes of all time.
That's right. Tell us about it.
Oh my gosh. So it's about Harry Potter.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. No. So we have Uncle Merrill, and he's back at the house, and he's in the closet, and he's
in his Harry Potter closet.
And he's watching a newscast. Did he fall asleep and he wakes up, or he's just been watching? I
don't know. Yeah.
But anyways, it's a birthday party. It's happening in Mexico City.
Portuguese.
Is it Portugal?
It is Portugal.
Oh, my bad.
We're speaking in Portuguese.
My bad. And so. And we end up having them, whatchamacallit, it's kid's birthday party, and there's like, kids on the inside all freaking out. We have them saying, it's behind this, thing, which is, they're talking about an alien, and
saying it's like behind the
bushes, the trees, the shrubs, all the greenery. And, it's so like scary because when you do finally see like this alien walking by, they set it up to where you're anticipating it. Meryl's getting closer into the TV.
He's like, move, kids.
The music gets that da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Like the music is building up, and then you just see the alien pass by, and it's so scary. He's and you see Meryl get scared because he like just like pops back. Yeah, almost going into the wall, and then they rewind it and they like stop it, do it like freeze frame on it, and like I love how like you can't see the whole thing. It's just kind of like a blur of an image.
Yeah, it's like a Sasquatch photo.
It's so scary.
It is. Yeah. Again, there's fear in the unknown, and
used to scare the fuck out of me.
Seeing that, just that form, I would be freaking the fuck out.
Even to where like Signs was one of those movies because I watched it in the theater and it scared me so much, but then we had it on DVD to where like it was one of those movies like I knew if I wanted to be scared, like I was frightened to put that DVD in because I knew like I'm scared of this movie.
See, the only thing Signs, Aliens never really scared me. Same with how I feel about zombies. Except for there's a few, except like Train to Busan zombies, fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Scared of those.
Yeah, those are very scary.
Yeah. And then now aliens in real life, if they were coming to be hostile, yes, I would be afraid. But like alien movies never really scared me. So honestly, the thing that I remember most from this film is the three of them sitting with the tinfoil hat on.
I mean, yeah.
And that's
it's made
what
fun
I remember.
Of in other movies as well. Another like popular pop culture?
Yeah. And I do remember the birthday scene. Like,
yeah, because you remember Scary Movie 3 has a lot of Signs stuff in it.
Yeah,
they have the aliens in it and all that, and the farm and all that. And what's his place? Who's the guy that's in those movies? He's the winning guy. Charlie Sheen.
Oh, Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
I was like, I could not tell you.
He plays Mel Gibson's character.
Oh, okay. I think this is sounding vaguely familiar now.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably only saw Scary Movie 3 like once.
It's like the one I like the most.
Oh.
But Scary Movie 2 is second. But Scary Movie 2 is really good.
I would need to watch all of them again. It has been way too long.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I clearly got it confused with Scream. So there's no telling what. My memory is not reliable.
So we're back with Graham, and he's inside the house now, which is Ray's house. And he is essentially going to confront, well, not necessarily, because he's in there and he's like, I'm with the police. We got your other friends. We took them to the station in a paddy wagon.
Yeah, we know all about the hook. Took him downtown and stuff. And he's trying to like intimidate them.
When he says paddy wagon, all it makes me think of is like, I want a patty melt.
But
he's like, gets a knife because he sees something moving in there and he like wants to look at it. So he gets
like when
a knife.
You can see feet underneath the door.
Yeah, a shadow. Moving. And he tries to get a knife to see if he can see anything behind, but he doesn't. And so he walks away.
And that's such a good, cool shot.
Oh, yeah.
And a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
And so he ends up coming back because he's like, no, I got to see what's in there. And
I know. He like almost makes it out the door and he's like, ooh, JK, what is it?
Yeah.
I gotta know.
He gets the knife and he puts it under. But as soon as he does, we have this hand coming out from under the door, little fingers, really sharp fingernails, and almost like yours. And they just start scratching on the floor, and he gets that knife after dropping it and just cuts off the fingers, and you hear a scream from the alien and him at the same time. And the hand
looked really good when the fingers got chopped off. It looked a little silly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the hand itself looked really cool.
Really
whenever
creepy.
It first came out, and I was like, ooh, that is a little bit scary. This was the scene that I think got to Andrew the most.
Oh, yeah.
So back to back, kind of your favorite scene and then his. Because we were talking on the phone last night about it, and he was like, I think mine and Josh's most memorable scene are the same. And I was like, oh, no, Josh's is this one. And he was like, oh, okay. But this was the one that got to him the most. But this one is super
memorable as well. I mean, like, who doesn't remember this scene? If you have seen the movie, that was really good. It stuck with me. But like I said, this movie was actually like it really scared me when I was
think
younger.
I really only saw this movie like once, and I was like, that was pretty good. And then I just was like, do.
This one and
I remember the water as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like the water cups
how
and
that's
stuff.
The
and
key.
Then the tinfoil hat. That was like basically what I remember. There's one time, so Gray, Anyways, we used to sell these like tinfoil hats for human and tinfoil hats for kitties.
Oh, really? That's cute.
And they were like felt lined, so that way they were comfortable on your head.
Aww.
But I wanted for the longest time to, and I so wish I would have, but buy one of each for myself and Kitty, and then take a like Christmas card photo of us. So just whenever it was just like her and I as well, and just here's this crazy cat lady with her and her cat wearing
beautiful
tinfoil
cat lady
hats.
with her majestic baby.
Yeah. Oh, what a sweet baby. She would not have allowed me to put.
Aww.
I had a little somebody like gave me this tiny sombrero once. And so I had this little sombrero that I tried to put on her a few times, and she wouldn't budge. Not a fan.
Yeah.
She was like, no. And then I also put toddler clothes on her once, and also was not a fan.
That would have been cute. Yeah, no, some animals dig it and some don't.
Yes, she did.
And there's no in between.
Yeah.
So they either love it and don't mess with it at all, or the second you put something on, they're like, and rip it off. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Yams whenever I tried to put some on her when she got her stitches.
Oh, yeah.
Or her, whatever that was.
I remember.
She turned into, oh, God, that was the nightmare.
Suki
was just like, eh. And then Yams was like, oh, I'm a demon.
Yeah.
And I was like,
she's feisty.
She was. But she's the biggest sweetheart in general. But the moment, no, she turned into, I was like, you're going to kill me. Like, or I'm going to kill you. Not on purpose. I was trying to cut the sweater thing off of her, and she was moving so much, I was afraid I was going to stab her. And so then I just cried. That's my immediate reaction. Cry now, cry later. Anyways.
That's life's motto.
That's right.
So we're back at home. And we have Meryl and the kids with foil on their heads.
My most memorable scene. Yeah. They're back to back to back.
And they just look up.
It's just the three of them on the couch with their tinfoil hats. I love it.
We have Graham just has to sit down. He's just like, you know what? Okay, that was a lot. Yeah. And so he has to be like, I saw one of them at Ray's, And
and Morgan's like, their skin changes color.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, how do you know this? How do you know, little kid?
Because they're signs.
Who is putting this information in your head?
He's one of the aliens.
I thought Bo was an alien.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, that's why she's so
Like
allergic to all these water. Yeah.
That's true. She could have been.
She was so fucking weird.
She had gotten possessed.
Yeah, I was like, this little kid's an alien.
Alien baby.
And whenever he tells the birth story and how she smiled like immediately and
no baby should do that.
Yeah.
Ooh, what if this was a different movie and like it ended up being where like she was an alien, they were coming back for their baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that is a movie.
Is it?
Yes. There's something. No. What? Someone else has to put E.T. right on.
Coming back.
Who was that? Was that Maria?
Yeah, it was Maria. She thought E.T. was like a
we
scary
asked for scary movies and she goes E.T.
I love her.
That's so funny. Love her.
But
no. It was like a weird
District 9
movie I watched one time. It has the guy that played in Gilmore Girls, the like
Luke
Milo
Wilson?
Verga blah blah blah.
Milo Ventimiglia.
Yes, he is in it. Let me. It basically is. It's like a family of these people who they They're like
Chicken Little.
Yes.
Because the aliens do come back for their baby.
What is it? Oh, The Art of Racing in the Rain made me cry so much. Let's look at his movies and TV shows. This is what was it called? Oh shoot, he was in She's All That.
I don't
remember that.
I don't either.
No. The Whispers? No. It was like a weird, obscure movie that I was like, what is this? I'm pretty sure he was in it. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I'll have to find it and let y'all know.
What year? What era?
No clue.
Okay.
I feel like he was older, so I felt like it was kind of a newer one. Huh. Maybe. No, I'm pretty sure it was him. I have no clue. Yep. Who knows? Anyways, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and so we have him talking to the families, essentially saying, okay, we're going to take a vote because I heard that they don't like the water, so we could go to the lake or we could just like board up the house and stay here. Mm-hmm. And so we take a vote. It's like, a little back and forth, but we end up deciding that we're going to stay home. And so that's whenever they start essentially just boarding up the house from the get-go. Like we just start working on that. Because I believe they do look at the TV, and we learned that more of the aliens have arrived, like over 247 cities or something like that. Did you find it?
Called Devil's Gate. 2017 thriller horror.
I'll look it up.
Yes, it doesn't allude to aliens in this description, so I think that might be the twist.
Oh, okay.
I am so sorry. I just ruined it for everyone.
What was it called again?
Devil's Gate.
Devil's Gate.
Because it seems like some religious cult thing.
But it's really
and
aliens.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, look at this alien.
Oh, that's creepy.
It's spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I actually was like, oh, that was a pretty good movie. Anyways, sorry, I just ruined it for all of you. But you were saying, oh, they're taking their vote. Dad's like, my vote counts as 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then like the kids are like, that's not fair and whatever. So anyways, they end up staying home and they, I think they see on the TV, right, that there's more aliens. There's like over like 247 cities in the world.
Yeah, 274
more have shown up. Yeah.
And they're appearing at or within 1 mile of the crop signs.
Yeah.
So basically like, eek. They're going to be right on top of us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so we do have them boarding up.
Because he says they seem to have trouble with pantry doors.
Mm-hmm. And that's whenever he's asking them what they want for dinner. And it's essentially almost like a last meal. Because he's asking them what all they want to eat. Like, you can have whatever you want.
It was pretty sad.
It was sad.
I liked that on the news event too. The news, what is it called? Program. News report.
Yeah.
There we go. They're basically saying like hundreds have flocked to like synagogues, temples, blah, blah, blah. Places of worship. Yeah. And then it just says, God be with us all. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh. And then like knowing his stance on it as well was like, oh. Yeah. And then Morgan at one point said he wishes Meryl was his dad as well. So we're getting kind of like.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That disconnect between the two of them, which was, yeah. But then it made me so sad because at first whenever Bo said she wanted spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
He was I think Meryl said like, no.
You can't have spaghetti.
Yeah, like
we got something
quick.
fast, some sandwiches, but he's like, you can have whatever you want. And then Morgan wanted French toast. And
Meryl chicken.
Teriyaki. And he wanted a cheeseburger, a bacon cheeseburger.
Extra bacon. And yeah, so it was really sad whenever, like the kids obviously didn't realize it, but
yeah, like, he's thinking we're going to die.
This is our last meal. You can have whatever you want because it's
not going to matter.
Meal. It's so sad.
Yeah. And so we end up having them sitting at the table. Everything's been cooked. We see that they made a fucking mess. And
I know.
Yeah.
I was also, how do you conveniently have all of those ingredients in your house already?
Yeah, it was so random.
Those are very different food items. Yeah.
And so we have basically Morgan's like, we should pray. And then he's like, no, I'm not going to fucking pray, you little fucking cunt. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. He doesn't say that. But he's just like, I'm not going to pray.
I'm not wasting one more minute on prayer.
And he starts like mad eating. And then Morgan's crying. And then Abigail Breslin is crying, and he yells
Everyone's crying.
Abigail, and then he's like, don't yell at her. And then Meryl's like, what are you doing? And then he's just like crying.
And then Morgan says, I hate you. You let mom die.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm fine with that if you hate me, whatever. And then
they all just have sad cry hug.
Yeah. Crying and eating. But then the baby monitor goes off.
Did they even finish their food? I don't know.
No, they don't. Poor things didn't, because then the baby monitor goes off and they're like, oh shit, it's happening. Because the broadcast on the TV is dead. We have like all the crickets went silent.
Like old school, not working.
This is a test.
Yeah.
This is a test.
That's it.
Go to your fallout shelter.
Yeah.
And yeah. It's crazy because I put in my notes, it's happening, which is really scary.
My notes, I was like, wait, they didn't get to finish dinner because like those mashed potatoes looked like they were made from scratch. Oh yeah, because Morgan wanted French toast and mashed potatoes, and they had like sliced
I would have put the mashed potatoes in between the French toast. Made a sandwich.
Honestly, a little sweet and savory.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, I want to eat that right now.
Whenever we would be
also, I like that idea of the crunchy with the like smushy.
I just remember at school.
Sounds like a weird texture.
Like in 7th or 8th grade, because we couldn't leave. Lunch was at school. We would have a day where it would be country fried steak, and it would be like a roll and like mashed potatoes, a little ass country fried steak that's like this big with gravy over it.
And it was like those steak fingers.
Oh yeah. And then I would like cut that bread open. I would put the mashed potatoes in there. I would put the country fried steak in there, and I would make me a little like sandwich. Oh, I remember that.
That sounds so good. Well, I used to eat
savory
for some reason when it was chicken nugget day, and we had the mashed potatoes in the roll, and then I think it was green beans or something.
Yeah, always green beans.
Yeah, I don't know why this was like a weird thing I had to do, but when it was my mashed potatoes, they were in that little smaller square about this big.
Yeah.
I had to cut it into 4s, like I just would divide it into 4s, and I had to eat it in 4 bites.
Like just 4.
Yes.
No,
only 4.
No small bites, just 4 big bites.
4 big bites of
That's
potatoes.
Great.
And that was how I ate every single chicken nugget meal as a kid in school.
That's really cute. Aw, we all have our quirks. No, we all have our little. No, we all have our quirks. We used to. So in 7th grade, because I was trying to make friends. I was whatever. We used to, for some reason, I don't know how it started, but like I love pickles, and so there would be like the salad bar, and then you can just get whatever you wanted up there because it's just like lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and then they would have like pickles. I think it's probably for cheeseburgers, but like I would just go up there and get like those hot dog size like trays, like with the little red and white stripes, and just fill it up with pickles, like all these like just they're
like thinly sliced.
They're hamburger pickles,
chips,
pickle
chips,
yes, and so then I would just eat them. So I guess it was a dare at one point, and then it became like a thing, like weekly, every other day, where kids would come onto the table and they'd start pounding on the table and like Chubby Bunny, but it would be like, how many pickles could I fit into my mouth? And I would just like have all these
holding the pickles in your mouth sounds like painful
until I'm like just like with pickles, and then finally I just really, and then I'd be like, and show everybody, and then they'd be like, whoa, yeah,
that's so cute.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Anyways, they get down to their
They die.
He's also telling
this is where they all die.
Yep. And he's telling the story of like how Bo was born and how she didn't even cry and looked around with her big ol' eyes, and like all the ladies gasped because then you looked at the mom, I think, or she looked at him. Oh yeah, he held her and she smiled.
Yeah. And which was like, weird for a baby to do.
Yeah, and I was like, she's the alien.
She's the one. Yep. She's the beacon. She's why they're here, and we're all gonna die because of her. Kill her. Fault. Let her die.
Yep. No. And then we get a pretty good transition of to
the outside
with Meryl covering the board, and then it just goes to black.
And then it's the outside.
Yeah. And they forgot Isabel.
They forgot Isabel because the cricket stopped chirping. We hear Isabel just like whining outside.
As it just pans into this like really like specific spot on the wall.
Yeah.
It's just zooming in and you're just hearing Isabel dying.
We do have the Graham telling Bo about when he was born. And how he basically almost killed his mom.
Yeah. He's like, mom kept bleeding, so they rushed like you out.
She was hemorrhaging.
Yeah.
But I wanted her to see you because she loved you so much. So
she wanted to see you first. And all the while, like, we're seeing the alien like walk around the house and then hearing noises, and he just keeps telling the story. And at one point Meryl's like, they're in the house. Like, and then he like without missing a beat just continues the story. And I was like, they're in the fucking house.
Yeah. And so it's so creepy because then they realize that they forgot to board up the attic door.
Yeah.
And so that's when they have to get down into the basement because they can get in through the attic door to their part where they didn't board up. Such a big house. And so
I know.
That they didn't have enough boards, so they're like, we'll board up half the house.
Yeah.
And we'll just stay on the side. So they end up getting down. They get into the basement. It's pretty dark, I think.
And you get hands under the door again as well, which is creepy.
It's through that front door, yeah.
Also, before we get too far from it, the kids, the story of the kids, those were real life from M. Night.
Oh, like the story of his kids?
His kids, yeah.
Oh, wow. Creepier.
Yeah. So he put his own like story into there.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah.
He always does that. Like his movies are very him. Very personal.
Exactly. Which must feel so bad for him knowing
when everything's get like wrapped
when
shitted
everyone's
on.
like, oh, but he directed this. It's probably going to sound really cool, and then it's going to let us down.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, but
not this one.
I feel like probably too. He obviously doesn't care. He does his thing. Yeah.
And people keep buying it.
And the thing is too,
we'll still go see all of them.
Well, the thing is too, is like, if you make something that is so inherently you, like there's going to be a lot of people that don't like it because that's just like how life is. Like not everybody's going to like you. Yeah. It's so inherently you that it's already polarizing a general part of the public. Like people, like
not everyone's going to agree with everyone.
It wasn't made to satisfy everyone, and that's the thing,
Exactly.
It's for the people who get it. And
we did get some,
get it, and the people who don't. We
did get some Shyamalan requests.
Shyamalan ding.
Shyamalan ding dong.
And so so it is. They're running. They're downstairs. They're in the basement.
Forgot their foil helmets.
So obviously the aliens are going to read their most inner deep thoughts, and we have them looking for something to prop up against the door so that
because they're like basically at the basement door.
Yeah.
And like poor dad is like, trying to hold it, and then
we need something.
He says, "I'm not ready," and it's like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah, because he's just
You're
holding
facing that mortality.
his door, and he's just like fighting to keep it closed, and then finally Meryl gets this like pickaxe thing, but as he's getting it up, and he's like, "Here, I got it," it like knocks out the one light they have.
Yep. And now they're in pitch dark,
which is very scary, but because you don't know what's really going on, but they're able to like get it, get the pitch work underneath the doorknob, and we do see that because one of them finds a flashlight. And
but we realize Bo's missing.
Yeah.
But thankfully she's just around the
really
corner.
Fast, yeah. Because she's like, I'm over here.
Yeah.
And so nonetheless, it's still a scary moment.
It is, yeah, because you're like, oh fuck, did they get in that short period of time while it was dark? Like, are they already in there?
Bo?
What's going on? And then like finally she's like, I'm right here. And then Meryl finds that radio. He tries to turn it on, but it's silent. So it's like, what even is going on out there?
Yeah.
And then the whole time Morgan's still going on about the helmets, and they're like, I wonder what's going on out there. And he goes, well, I hope they're doing better than we are. We don't even have helmets.
Literally.
Like, get this fucking kid.
And great comedy. And we end up having them, the aliens are making noise by the door, and they're like, wait, they're only making noise.
They're
Why
not
are they
trying
only
to
doing
get
that?
in.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like when they tried to circle around the house and just make a bunch of noise to scare them and get them out. Yeah.
It's true. They're using their own tactics against them.
Uh-huh.
And so, and then what's his name? Morgan's even like, the book said that they would be great problem solvers. They would be able to figure anything out. Like, once again, he's coming in with these facts. And so that's whenever, what's his face? Graham is like, this used to be a coal mine and there's a coal chute. So somehow there's an opening, for them to get in here.
Which is like, that's why they were trying to distract him, is they were trying to get in through the back door, basically.
Through the back door.
And then keep them focused on that basement. So that way they're just, which is so terrifying to think about, that they already knew that it was there. And they're like, you go cause a bunch of ruckus by this door.
Yeah.
We're going to come in and swoop and like get him from the back. And it's just, scary.
It's a lot. Because we do have like Graham and Meryl. Like, it's funny because it's, once again, just like when they were outside earlier, they're coming from opposite directions. They finally meet in the middle and they're like, oh my God, I feel air here. I feel air over here. And then they get to where it just had to be where Morgan was standing up against the wall. Because why? What was he doing up against the fucking wall?
He was just walking around over there in the dark.
Like, literally. Because he was over there a moment ago in a different whole space.
Yeah.
And so
it made like the whole idea of him going over there and just like, because then he was just standing there like he'd been there the whole time or something. And like if I was one of the kids, I would have been like behind the parents, like trying to look.
Holding onto a pant leg.
Yeah, not like just walking and being like, and then I'm going to turn my back to the wall and just face out here and like watch as you both get closer to me.
And did they not feel the draft? Because they obviously did.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's so scary because from the you see it there. There's a long,
there's a big ass
creepy alien hand that is camouflaged with the grate of like, the chute opening. And even Graham and Meryl are just looking at him like, oh my God. And Morgan is just like, what? And the hand just like grabs him, and it's so scary because I love how even they don't show that much of it, and so you're just left there like freaking out.
Yeah, because I wasn't even like all of a sudden you're getting kind of knocked around, and then you're just seeing them stack stuff on front of it, and so you're like, oh shit, like did they get Morgan? Yeah, you don't even you don't really see where Morgan ends up.
No, and
he's stacking all that dog food, and I love the way that he just takes that one singular can that was there,
puts it on top.
Puts it on top. I was like, not the can, not the can.
Yeah,
made me crack up.
It's real crazy to me though to think that like, whereas like whatever sophisticated or like these aliens came here in big old spaceships, like they don't know how to break through doors and they don't know how to tear through a bag of like dog food. But okay, that's fine.
It's, Einstein. Is this even a true fact that like he couldn't even turn on his own light? I don't know. That's probably just some urban legend.
Not. It really is. We covered that movie too. Listen to that episode if you did not listen to it. And so
here's our last listener request.
It was. And we do have shout out to Nikki. We do have oh God,
Morgan.
He's on the floor
his
dying.
Inhaler. He's having an asthma attack,
and he doesn't have his medicine.
Then Bo, like while everyone's freaking out, goes, "I dreamed this," and I was like, "Not the time, Bo. Literally. Go back to your weird little alien girl corner and shut up."
Throughout the whole movie is so fucking weird.
I know. And then Dad is of course freaking out, and he's like cursing at God, basically saying like, "Don't do this to me again. Not again. Not again. I hate you."
Yeah.
But of course, he's like also holding his son in his arms, and I'm like, like, what? Are you talking to your kid? Are you talking to God? What?
Yeah, and he's just like, telling him to breathe, and he's just trying to like talk to him,
And this scene, honestly, was a little weird to me. Not like weird in like a gross way, but just like the way, I don't know, the way that he was talking didn't really feel like he was convincing his son, rather like to breathe. Almost more he was also a little bit convincing himself. And it just felt like,
I'm sure
not it didn't sound like
he had his child at like the forefront.
Yeah, well, it just really didn't sound believable to me. It didn't sound like it.
Mel Gibson, you heard it here. You suck. You didn't convince Caitlin.
You suck. No, it just didn't seem like it felt very like a script that was given to him, and it felt very movie like, and it didn't feel realistic. Which I think the only reason I have an issue with it is because this whole film does such a good job of humanizing the individuals. And then in this scene, it felt like almost took me out of it a little bit because it felt like too dramatic.
Gotcha.
almost the way that he was saying, like, you need to believe and like breathe and, it will pass. It's going to pass. And I was like, okay.
Too much.
He does successfully calm him down though.
Too much cheese.
So good for him. But I was like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It took you out of the element.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
And then we do have the light flickering out. And, we come to them they slept for like over 12 hours, I believe. And Uncle Merrill found some light bulbs. He found some batteries for the radio, so it's working. And the aliens are leaving. We do hear that like there's possibilities of why they were here on the radio. Like one dude is like they came to raid. The radio's
working again. Yeah, for instance. Yeah.
And he's like they came to raid. Like they just came to take. He said a lot of people died. That they had poison gas that they used to kill people, and they like came and took some people and left.
Which was also like good to know because it's going to come into play here in a little bit.
And so we have them just talking about like whether or not they should get out. Oh well, one we do have. Meryl confronting Graham, and he's being like, hey, last night, the way you looked, the way you were talking, I don't ever want to see that fucking shit again, bro. Yeah. Cut that shit out. I don't ever want to see that. Don't you ever look that, whatever, like dead behind the eyes and like, without hope. That's not my brother. And basically it.
Yeah.
And so then they're just like, should we go outside? And what did they, they checked the baby monitor.
Oh, and did we already flashback to we had another flashback.
Of
him. Yeah. Speaking with Carolyn. And basically this is when he comes up to her, and I don't understand how he wasn't rushing past her at this point, because she was kind of explaining the situation that she's been penned. And he says, this is the last time I'm going to talk with my wife.
Yeah.
Because she's been pinned in such a way like that.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be alive, but she is. And I think that happened all before the lights went off and stuff like that.
I think it happens after, because I have it on my notes that it's after they get out and the TV.
Well, I think it immediately goes back to it, and then we finish it.
Gotcha.
It was like a little baby snippet, and then it went.
And then it cuts back to you.
Because that was before mine. I was trying to find. I was looking at Mel Gibson's movies that he'd been in.
But so they
also when they go to check the baby monitor, I was like, but they could just be laying low and like fucking with you. Like they're smart. When they were like, well, sounds good enough to me. I was like, what?
Yeah.
No.
A little too preemptive.
You could die. It's a trap.
That's very Caitlin behavior.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust no one.
And then we do have them going out, right? Essentially, they're walking out. It kind of seems like everything's okay. He ends up going into the closet to get the TV out of the closet so that way they can, watch the news. And when he brings it out, he ends up seeing the reflection of
such a cool shot.
Yeah, of the alien in the TV, and he's like,
and
"What the
you can
fuck?"
See holding
Morgan.
And that
no Freeman.
I almost wish it like wouldn't show us much more than that.
Oh yeah, I know.
It was such a good that shot was amazing and terrifying.
Oh yeah,
like seeing shit in your TV's reflection.
Yeah.
Nope.
Shouldn't
hard
be there.
pass. Yeah, freaks me out. And so that was so like ugh.
Oh, and I loved how even before then, I'm sorry, Bo was like, because the TV wasn't in the closet, she's like,
people are doing this.
They're standing like this. Yeah.
And basically he was like, oh, they're dancing, they're celebrating. And so they think it's all over.
Yeah.
And it's clearly not.
And so we do have the alien in the room, and even Meryl comes up and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And we see the hand that's holding Morgan is missing some fingers, aka so it's the one from the pantry.
This is definitely the alien that he cut the fingers off of. So somehow he tracked him back here.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And then we also see that he's blending in with Morgan's shirt.
Yeah. The camouflage.
So they do actually blend in.
Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have him there standing there. The alien obviously looks like hostile. He's like looking at them all, he's I'm going to bite you.
Yeah. And I've got this kid. It's like, when someone's holding a gun to someone's head.
And he's got his little poison little thing coming out of his wrist. Very Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's about to inject some poison. Well, not, it's like a breathing poison.
Yeah. He sprays this poisonous gas by his face.
Yeah. And at this point, I think it does come back to the flashback with the wife. And then it finishes out where it's like, he's seeing what she was saying, and she was like, tell Morgan to do this and tell Bo not to stop playing, and then tell Graham to see.
Bo listen to her brother, tell Graham to see, and he's like, I'm right here.
Tell Meryl to swim away.
Yeah.
Swim away.
Swim
keep
away.
Swimming.
Just keep swimming.
To swing away. Yeah.
But basically the sign, like her death was a sign. And I was like, did she like see the future kind of thing? Or was it just, it's all a coincidence that she said that and now he's remembering it
divine
now.
Divine intervention. Yeah. Like she was just somehow getting that message to him and it was, I don't know.
And then he goes, but he like puts 2 and 2 together and he's like kind of coming to terms and he's like, I'm not going to let another one die.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch someone else I love, my family, die in front of me. And so that's when he looks at Meryl and he says,
swing away. Yeah.
Swing away, Meryl, swing away.
And Meryl's like, what? And he's like, swing away. And then he looks at his bat on the wall. Yeah.
He grabs it and it's like, oh, yeah, get that bat.
Yeah,
I was
real.
like, woohoo!
Because as soon as he injected that mist into Morgan, he kind of turns around and then Meryl's able to hit him in the back. And so he drops Morgan.
Where there's like this red spot that we see. So it seems kind of like, I feel like in some movies when they're trying to get a dragon, they're like missing a scale.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to shoot the arrow right into that in order for it to like die.
Kill them?
Yeah.
Bury the Hobbit.
Yeah.
That's the legend of Smaug.
But then, so it kind of felt like that, like this was a weak point, and he hit it.
And so he did, and even the alien is just like, what the fuck, bro?
And he stumbles and bumps into a thing where water falls onto him, and we see that the water is what causes this red spot.
Yeah.
It burns his skin. And conveniently, thank little Bo
Peep.
Little Bo Peep for
she
not
has
drinking
water
her water
everywhere. So he just starts like hitting the bat on these glasses of water. So it's like splashing water all over the alien. And then finally he hits alien to where it falls back onto like the TV or something stand. And like all these water
just
falls
like 5
over.
glasses.
Just
like a little waterfall.
Pouring over. Yeah. Pouring over the alien. And he's melting.
The alien's like, he's melting. He's dying.
Yeah.
It's dying. And then we see that Meryl's broke his bat, his prize bat, basically on it. And then this is where we flash outside to
Morgan and him being in Graham's arms. And he's just like, or on the floor.
Yeah, they're out in the yard. And he's like, Graham is just repeating, it can't be luck. It can't be luck. Like his lungs were closed. No poison got in. No poison got in. His lungs were closed. Like he's clearly panicking.
Asthma and all
and he'd already
like
shot him with an EpiPen as well, because he had said earlier, like, let's also get his EpiPen, not just his inhaler, because he's probably going to need something to help. And this is where one of them says they need a miracle. And then...
And we just have Meryl like...
Oh, wait, no, one of them doesn't say that. That's just what my note was. Sorry, JK. They were basically like saying like...
Yeah, they were just pleading.
They need... Yeah. The only thing that's going to save him now is a miracle.
And he ends up waking back up.
And he says, Dad... He's alive. What happened? Did someone save me?
Yeah.
I think someone did.
I think it was his mommy.
Yeah. And... What? He believes again.
Yeah, because we cut to him getting ready again.
And it pans out with the same shot that we got at the beginning.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
but with them like being on the ground there. So we're getting kind of, this is that bookend that you're talking about.
And he's getting ready to go be a father.
And whenever we transition to inside, we look out the windows now and it's snowing. So clearly a passage of time has occurred.
Yeah.
Which I thought was beautiful. Just like kind of like in Midsummer, I think I mentioned that they did a transition like that where just through the window you could see the changing of the seasons. Love it.
Chef's kiss.
But he's in his little preacher outfit again, little preacher costume.
She's a preacher.
And all is happy with the family.
And the world is not over.
All is right with the world. Then we'll have War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Earlier. No, that was 2004.
Because they mentioned this is like War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah,
but wasn't that a remake anyways?
War of the Worlds. I can't say that word. I'm sorry.
War of the Worlds.
It's a remake of like the old one. Yeah. But yeah, that was your 2006 Signs. I'm gonna go ahead and give it 5 boos.
5 boos.
5 boos.
Because you love it.
Because I love this movie.
And it scared
you.
So
good. Because it scared
it has that effect.
The hell out of me. Because it's got good storytelling. Because it's got a family. Because
it's got a family.
It's got a family, man. And I like aliens, so I like supernatural and extraterrestrial kind of things, and not supernatural, just like aliens, extraterrestrial.
They are considered supernatural,
right? Okay, and
they're definitely within the realm of paranormal.
Definitely, just think it's a really well told story, and it unfolds like in rewatching it. Like I don't know, for some reason, watching it growing up, I for some reason felt like this was a really long movie.
And it was only as well,
like an hour and like 40 or something like that.
An hour 40. Whenever you told me that last on Monday,
it went by so fast.
I was like, What? No, this is like a 2.5 hour movie.
Same. Yeah.
I thought it was significantly longer.
Same.
And then watching it this morning, now I think if I was watching it in a normal sitting where I wasn't like also simultaneously watching the clock being like, okay, fuck, like I gotta go. Yeah. I think it would have been just like when I was watching Final Destination 3, just like blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But this morning, I think the only reason I thought that it was maybe dragging in some parts is because I was like,
you gotta go.
I have to meet a time crunch, and we've started like exactly at the correct time. So
so you finished it and then I gotta go. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've done that. Yeah. But yeah, I give it 5 BooBaes. I really like it. I'm really glad that Andrew suggested it. If not, I would have had us cover it eventually because I think it's a really great scary movie. And
even though like it's technically, not like qualified as horror per se, it definitely falls. It definitely falls in that realm. Like it's a thriller, and I think it's more than like deserving of being covered on this podcast.
If we covered Thanksgiving,
it's a sci-fi thriller. Yeah, exactly. Well, Andrew gave it 4 out of 5 boos, and he says, "I love this like." The subtlety and the storyline with the family dynamic, it gives a sense of realism. The part with the birthday video footage and the transition in the kitchen scene was great. And he says, I didn't like the way the alien was actually shown or how easily people accepted that there were aliens. He says, I feel like modern events have shown that people can be contrarian to actual facts or historical events. Yeah. And he says, I love this movie and could watch it once a year. Just once a year.
Yeah, just once. Once on Christmas.
Yeah, and like I would agree. I just so want to believe in or not want, like I do believe in aliens. Like it's silly to believe that we're the only ones here. And so
same.
Yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah.
And so like the moment someone was like, I think this is aliens, I'd be like, yep. I believe I would, but I understand what he's saying is that like, even with facts, like the government has come out and said aliens exist. And then some people are like, no, they don't. And it's like,
that ain't in my Bible.
They're literally providing you with facts right now.
There's been even more like recent activity too, but it's also because more people are like looking now,
Yeah.
Like, if
and they're being, they've already been like, well,
it's kind of like
cat's out of bag.
Well, and also it's kind of like the old saying, like if you look for it, you'll find it. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
And with enough people,
like whenever you drive a new car and you notice your car everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Except for your car, like it literally is.
It is everywhere. People have so many.
There's so many. You are at least one of like I think 3 friends that drive that car. So
I'm honored.
It's a good car.
I like it.
It was nice when I drove it to go pick you up from Chicago.
From the airport.
It was really nice. I liked it.
It's a smooth ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Caitlin? What is your boos?
I think.
Give it to me straight. Or give it to me queer.
Queer it is. I think maybe I'll fall in between y'all. No, I think actually my original thought was a 4.
A 4?
No, a 4.5.
4.5. It will still end up to be a 4.5.
It really is a great film. And the storyline, like you said, like the way that they flesh out the characters, you really do get emotionally attached to them. You get a very strong sense of who they are as people.
They are my friends and they need to be protected.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you don't want anything bad to happen to them. And when Morgan's like dying, you're like, oh no, like please don't die. Like, please don't die, little kid. This is going to be so sad for him.
It's really heavy.
And then like there's also just a perfect, very subtle humor thrown in every now and then.
Yeah, especially like with Morgan and his little things, or like when the dad and them were reading the book earlier. Even just the like fucking kiss shirt.
The tinfoil hats,
tinfoil hats, because
all of that,
and inherently that would be funny.
It's like Scream, like they're in on the joke a little bit.
Yeah,
like they know that how kind of silly a lot of alien like films have been and stuff like that. And so, I thought it was great. The aliens were unsettling. I don't remember this like scaring me as a kid. It didn't like stick with me in any way. I definitely remember watching it. And I remember, like I said, the water and the tinfoil hat scene. But I don't know if to me as a child, I was like, this is a scary movie.
Yeah.
I also don't think I saw it in theaters though. So I think maybe if I was seeing it on big screen,
It was scary.
Yeah, I probably would have been more unsettled. I just watched it on my like little tiny TV at home.
Yeah.
Whenever we got like the movie or like I think we must have rented it at Blockbuster or something, and then we were like, oh, let's watch this.
And I could have been the only one scared in that room, but I don't know, for some reason.
No,
it was just
Andrew was also afraid of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that was why he was like, no, signs. And
I don't even necessarily, that's not even necessary to say that, like, aliens scare me. Aliens could scare me because if they were hospital, that's pretty scary. But I mean, like, alien movies don't necessarily scare me, but the way like this one was set up, it was just so eerie and creepy. Yeah. It was just scary.
And without it being like, because we've covered Alien, and now, okay, that is terrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
That alien is like
death.
Out for blood.
If you see a xenomorph, you're pretty much dead.
You're pretty much dead. Yeah,
you can't run it.
So that is terrifying. But then there's some like comical ones, and this one seemed more believable. It actually wasn't like War of the Worlds, where like, everything's like tsunami and stuff exploding everywhere. Like it felt kind of believable.
It's a
everything about this film
story.
felt like, without it being found footage and like first person POV, this is, I think, one of the most like, this is probably one of the few times I felt like almost in the film.
Yeah.
Without it being a found footage. Yeah, it felt very believable.
This is a real event that happened in 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like wasn't docu-style. Like it was just like, this was the thing that happened. We just
happened to be watching it.
And it's just beautifully shot.
Part of U.S. history.
Again, the score, phenomenal. The use and lack thereof. Like, because that's what, especially I feel like in a lot of films too, whenever you get a big
name
musician like that, who writes the score, it can often like overwhelm. And I mean, it's in horror, because in like, in like other films it's not as noticeable, but in horror I think it's so important to capitalize on the use of silence. That's what made A Quiet Place so scary.
The first one.
Nothing, I mean, those aliens, monsters, things are a little scary, but I think the use of silence and watching that in the theater and it just being like dead quiet, and then all of a sudden like
come out of nowhere. Especially the first time you hear noise in that first one, when that fire happens, and there, because it's especially because
we saw the second one together.
We did, and it also makes it like so whatchamacallit, because it had been building up like how big it is, like big deal it is to be quiet and not make noise. You're like, oh my god, fuck, we made noise. Like you can't. And it definitely like pulls you in as well, and it makes you be quiet. And so like I think that movie was as successful as it was because of the use of silence. And I felt like this film did a great job of capitalizing on it, but then also using beautiful music to really progress the mood. Scary music.
I mean, it was beautifully done, scary, anxiety inducing music.
It sure did that for me.
4.5. It was a solid film all around. If you haven't seen Signs, what are you doing? I feel like that's like just one that you have to see.
Get out from that basement and go watch it.
It's not scary. Like it is scary, but it's not like a traditional horror film. It is a thriller, and it is very science fictional based. And I mean, I don't know. I loved it. It was good.
Yeah.
I have more, again, appreciation for watching it now.
It's one of the top ones for us, for me at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is your 2006 Signs.
That's right. It was a good time. Thank you, Andrew, for requesting that.
And like always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
That's right. They always take great care of us. And if you want to listen to us or any of the billion trillion other awesome podcasts on this network, you can do so at
roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. Or on a slew of podcasting platforms, the biggest two being
Apple Podcasts
and also Spotify. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to let us know your listener request, how you felt about Signs, and just if you want to get on the list, we're slowly getting through it. Yeah, let us know what film you want us to cover, and then we will gladly do so. And again, it doesn't have to be like your favorite. It could be one that you're like, I want someone else to agree with me and shit on this film with me.
That it's really bad.
Yeah. Please reach out to us, and you can be your
other opinion. We'll be the outside opinion.
That's right. Yeah. We'll support you. We got you. We got you. Watchers actually love the film.
You don't know anything.
Yeah. But you can reach out to us on our one social media platform, and that is Instagram at
BooBaes Podcast, and that's BOOBAES because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And we are keeping it a surprise for what we're going to do for next week because we don't know.
We don't, but we'll find out. And until then.
We'll find out. So until then.
Bye, Baes.
Bye, Baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.